So today's reformer class is going to be a little faster pace than my last one that I recorded. I am still going to run through the footwork and some quick verbal cues, but basically this is going to be how I would work out if I only had 30 minutes to work out on my reformer, okay? So I'm going to go a little faster. First, start off your reformer with your red springs, however you like them. On average, I tell people at least 2 red springs. You can do a little more. You can add on the blue, the 50, or the yellow or white, that's the quarter. I know reformer springs are a little different depending on your reformer, but I'm going to go with 3 reds for my footwork. We'll start back onto our back, head between the shoulder rests, of course, feet on the bar. We're going to start off in the first position. So your feet are in a V shape. You have the turnout thing long line through your spine. You're pulling the belly in, narrowing the waistline. Arms are long by your side, and you're pressing the back of the shoulders down. Now take a deep breath up high in the rib cage, and on your exhale, you're going to push away, lengthen the legs, bend the knees, bring it in. And we're going to keep running through this. So you think long legs, squeezing the back of the thighs together, pressing the shoulders down into the carriage, exhaling as you lengthen the legs. And always think about pulling up on the pelvic floor too, especially when those legs zip together. Engage those inner thighs and pull up on the pelvic floor. Your arms are long and pressing down. I naturally turn my palms up to face the ceiling because it gives me that feeling of opening up across the front of the chest. And you're going to turn the feet to parallel now. Parallel feet, elevate the heels. Going to try to strengthen the ankles, the arches. So the front of your thighs, those quadriceps are working hard every time you push out, but think about the back of the thighs as you pull it in, like you're doing the work to pull the carriage in instead of the springs. Still pulling up on the pelvic floor, so think about that lateral rib cage breathing. Now push away and hold straight legs, drop the heels, and lift the heels. So these are just calf phrases. Sinking low, if you like the feeling, you could always just hold it and sink deeper. And lifting as high as you can. We'll do one more. Lift the heels, keep them up, bring the carriage in halfway, and do little short range of motion. So it kind of feels like you're balancing, but still keep the ankles strong, still keep the heels up. You're still pressing the arms down. Even think lengthening the back of the neck so your chin will get a little closer to your chest. Hopefully you're still breathing. Now we're going to keep doing a little short range of motion like this, just now single leg. So lift one leg up. This lifted leg can be bent or straight, doesn't matter as long as it's still a working leg. Still breathing. We'll go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. Still go the short range of motion, just switch legs. Now when you bring both feet back to the bar, you're going to make sure they're in the center of the bar. And you're going to try to stay on the toes. You can move to the arch or heel if you prefer, but try to stay on the toes to work harder. One leg, either one, lifts the tabletop. Push all the way out to straighten the lower leg, and then kick the top leg to the ceiling. Bend, bring it in, and kick forward. We're going to keep going with that pattern. Every time you go out, you kick the leg to the ceiling. But think about extending the leg to the ceiling, stretching it out, instead of just throwing that leg up to the ceiling real fast. So lengthening both legs to straight, bend and bring it in. Do one more. This one we hold it. So the leg is straight to the ceiling, grab on and pull it in. So as you're pulling this leg in, try to flex the foot to deepen the stretch. And if you can with that lower foot, do some calf raises. Do 2 more. And then you're going to go ahead, bend both knees, bring the carriage all the way back home, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. Going all the way out and kick up, bend, and stretch forward. Still pressing the shoulders down, still lengthening the back of the neck, still breathing. Give yourself enough time to fully extend both legs to straight. Now you're going to go on, hold the leg to the ceiling, grab on, and pull it in for a stretch. Try to flex the foot, and if you can, with the lower foot, do some calf raises. Go ahead, bend both knees, bring the carriage all the way back in. You're going to keep your knees together, just drop your knees to one side for a little spine twist, and bring bring the knees up and over to the other side. Now when you come up to seated, we are going to change the springs. We're going to change them for arm work. Average is a red and a blue. You can do more if you want to do more. I'm going to do a red and a blue. Basically just because I have to talk while doing all this stuff, but if you want to do more, feel free to do more. A red and a blue is average. So you're going to go ahead and grab on to your straps over the shoulder rest. Your arms are going to be straight to the ceiling, and you're going to bring the legs to tabletop. So with the legs at tabletop, we are trying to maintain neutral. Neutral is that natural curve in the low back. You don't want your ribs to flare up to the ceiling. You want to keep them pulled in and just feel that natural curve between the lumbar spine and the carriage. Keep the legs at tabletop for now. Take a deep breath, and then press your hands down to your hips. If you're happy with that tension, stay there, but if you want, you can go ahead and change the tension to more or less. Exhale in every press. If you can work harder, extend the legs outward straight. You can also add the flexion. So when you press down, you can curl up and then rest down head and shoulders. I'm going to scoot down a little bit because I feel a little too crowded to the shoulder rest. So there's different variations that you could do with the legs. You could keep them out there straight the whole time. You could extend them every time you press and bring back in. You could just maintain them at tabletop. So you really just do whatever works for you. I'm going to hold mine straight while we do 3 more pull downs. One more, press down and hold it. Now try to stay curled up if you can, but feel free to keep your head down. Your arms are going to go out to left and right in a T shape and then all the way down to your hips. Arms out on the inhale, exhale, press. Squeeze the legs together, point the feet, reach through the toes. Using the upper back to shrug your shoulders down. Narrowing the waistline. Do one more, press down, hold. Now bend the elbows and the knees. When the arms go down straight, legs go out to straight. Bend in and then press. Good, every time those legs go up to straight, think squeezing the inner thighs together, squeezing the glutes, and pulling up on the pelvic floor. You have 2 more. Last one, press, hold it. Now keep those legs long and straight. Both legs lift to the ceiling, and then both legs lower. Lift up and down. Longer arms, longer legs, still breathing, breath up high in the rib cage. You have 1 more. And then you can bring your arms up and then rest back down. So we are going to do the 100 next. With the 100, you're going to try to stay curled up the whole time and try to hold the legs straight the whole time, but feel free to keep the legs at tabletop and feel free to keep your head and shoulders down. So start with at least tabletop legs. Arms are straight. Press down, curl up, hold, lengthen the legs to straight, and now start pumping the arms. Inhaling for 5, exhaling for 5. Think longer, straighter legs, squeezing the inner thighs together. If you can work harder, try to get those legs to a lower angle as long as you're not feeling stress in the low back. You are going to feel the muscles in the back working to help support that neutral spine, but you don't want to feel pain. You could always bring the legs higher to the ceiling for easier or back into tabletop. Reach longer arms like you're trying to touch the foot bar. Inhaling for 5, exhaling for 5. We have 2 more 10 counts. Try to get the legs lower. Now after you exhale, hold everything still, curl up higher, reach longer, and then you can finally rest back down. So go ahead and put your straps away on the shoulder rest. We're going to stay at the same tension that you just did for arm work for bridging. So with your feet on the bar, this could be toes for harder, arches and heels is easier. So you pick whichever one you want. I'm going for toes. Hands are down by your side. There's about a 3-inch gap between your feet. So your legs are not completely together. Your knees are right in line with your hips. And I want you to rock your pelvis back so you feel an imprinted spine. Hands are by your side. Take a deep breath. And then lift your hips up. So you peel your spine up. Hold your hips up high. Keep your hips up as you push away to almost straight legs. And then you pull it right back in. Going out. And then pulling back in. Inhale as you go out. Exhale, pull home. Do one And then your spine is going to roll down without your carriage rolling away on you. All the way back down to rest your hips. We're going to do that again. Take a deep breath, lift the hips up again, peeling the spine up, push the carriage away, and then pull it back home. Inhale as you go out, exhale, pull in. Now pull it in and hold it. You can keep going if you want. You could come out early. If you can work harder here, try to extend one leg to straight and then push away with that lower leg and then pull back in. Going back and forth. Now hold it, rest on the foot, keep your hips up, other legs turn now. So you push back and forth. Keep that leg long and straight, keep the hips up. You have one more. Pull it in, hold, rest on the foot, take a deep breath, and then slowly roll your spine down into your rest. With the hips down, you're going to do a little hip stretch. So cross one ankle over the opposite knee, and then pull it into your chest for a stretch. We'll do the same thing on the other side. And pulling it in. Okay, you can uncross the legs. Now we are going to go into feet and straps next, so we got to increase the tension. If you need to stay light, you could just keep going with the same tension you just did with arm work. But on average, like footwork, you want to do at least 2 reps for feet and straps, as long as you can tolerate it. I'm going to do 2 reps in a blue, so it's less than footwork that we did before, but a little bit more than the arm work. So back onto your back, your feet are on the bar. Grab for those straps first. With your feet still on the bar, push all the way out. We're going to put feet in the straps. Once your feet in the straps, lengthen your legs to straight, and we're going to keep your feet parallel. So don't turn out. Keep your feet parallel, glue the legs together. Arms are long by your side, pressing down into the carriage. Now you want to maintain neutral here, so find it. Rock your pelvis a little bit if you need to. Hip bones and pubic bone on the same plane, and the legs are going to lift and lower without changing the position of your pelvis. So you do want to get those legs up to where you feel the hamstrings stretch, but you don't want to feel the hips lifting. You got to keep those hips anchored down as you're hinging at the hips. Inhale up, exhale, press. Think pulling the belly in, pressing the back of the shoulders down, squeezing the inner thighs together. Press down and hold it. Now we turn the feet out, heels together, toes apart, bend your knees for froggies. Bending in on the inhale, exhale, pressing out. Draw the navel in deeper, not letting the pelvis move, not changing the position of the low back. Remember, you're always trying to narrow the waistline. Fully extend those legs to straight. Let's hold them straight, straight legs straddle out to the side, and then press to center. Out to the side on the inhale, exhale, press. Use your breath too to help you get through it. Feel the inner thigh stretch and then straighten. You have 2 more. Press together, hold together, one in the bow and arrow. So one leg straight, one leg bends. And then you alternate. So this one you're trying to keep your torso stiff, strong, right in the center of the carriage, and not letting your hips slide on the carriage or not letting the hips tip. So you're trying to keep your core strong and only move through the hip joints. We'll finish up this last set. Inhale as you stretch, exhale, press. When the legs are together, hold together so we can do circles. Legs up, out, and press down. And just go with the pattern of the breath. Remember, we're trying not to change the neutral spine. Do one more in this direction. When you're down low, hold and then reverse the direction. Tell the inner thighs to work hard when those legs meet together in the middle. Still lengthening the back of the neck. Now bring the legs up to the ceiling and hold it. We're going to do a little stretch. Both legs come towards your face. It's okay if the hips lift a little. Just let those ropes take control of the legs and feel a stretch. Now if your hips have lifted a little off the carriage, you're going to bend the knees, roll the spine back down so those hips are glued down, and then press in. We'll do that same stretch again because it feels good. So both legs come overhead and just stretch. Let the hips feel heavy. Bend your knees, roll the spine back down, and then press out. So we're gonna go to the short spine. With short spine, we are gonna bring the legs overhead. Definitely make sure that your headrest is still flat. Sometimes people lift it up when they do feet straps and stuff. So make sure headrest is still flat. Both legs are gonna come overhead towards your face as far as you can stretch. You're gonna feel that low spine starting to lift up. So use your abs here and lift up to your shoulder blades. Now control the carriage. Rotate heels together, bend the knees, roll the spine down, and then press all the way back out to straighten the legs. Turn your feet back to parallel. So bring your legs overhead for a stretch. Use your abs, lift your hips, your shoulder blades. Turn your feet out, bend the knees, so it looks like you're in a froggy squat. Roll the spine back down to the carriage. Once the hips touch the carriage, then use the strength in the legs to press. We'll do it again one more time. Legs come overhead, lifting up, bend the knees, roll the spine back down to the carriage, and then press into the straps. That one feels so good. You could always do more if you wanted to. I'm going to come out of the straps and take feet out. Once feet are out of the straps, you're going to bring the carriage all the way back in, put the straps away on the shoulder rests, and then we're going to change our spring tension. So we're going to do some arm work, but we're going to end up kneeling facing towards the foot bar. So when we do our arm work kneeling facing the foot bar, you want pretty weak tension. I'm going to go with one blue, so that's a 50. It's a weak spring, not the weakest on there, but pretty weak, weaker than a red. So when you're kneeling on the carriage, you gotta move slow with control because it gets a little wobbly. Come up to kneeling. Your feet will be to the shoulder rests. The feet could be flat to them. They could be flat on the carriage. You could even put your feet flat between the shoulder rests, whatever feels better for the feet. Reach back, grab your straps. Go carefully with control here because a lot of times if you move fast or jerky, you could go falling right into the springs. So once you're ready, once you have tension in your hands and loops, come up to standing tall, pull the belly in, arms are by your side, and then the arms are gonna lift up to shoulder height, and then bring them right back down next to your hips. Exhale forward. You're gonna feel that your body wants to sway with the movement of the carriage, but you gotta keep the legs tight and strong, even the inner thighs, pull up on the pelvic floor, pull the belly in. Think of yourself as this tall, strong skyscraper, and the wheels on the reformer are acting like the wind trying to knock you down. So keep everything tight and strong. You have two more. Last one, when you get the arms up, hold them up. So this is hug a tree. So your arms are bent, keep a little bend in the elbows, arms open on the inhale, exhale, hug. On this one, you kind of want to work hard in both directions. So as the arms open, think about the upper back, pulling the arms open, and in the front of the chest, drawing the arms to center. Inhale as you open, exhale, hug. And you're also controlling the ropes so your arms don't go back behind you, putting too much stress on the front of your shoulders. You just want to bring the elbows next to you and center. You have two more. And last one. Now we're going into salute next. So your fingertips are going to meet together at the top of your head. We call this salute obviously because it looks like you're saluting someone, but we're doing both arms. So you can just stay tall and straight on your knees and extending the arms upward to straight. But if you could work a little harder, sit halfway back to your heels and tuck your tailbone under a little bit, just so that we're not going to the sway back. Tuck the tailbone under a little bit, hover your hips off your heels, and then do that same salute. Feel those triceps working hard. Shoulders are shrugging down out of the ears. Still squeeze the glutes and pull up on the pelvic floor. You have two more. And then you can bring your arms all the way back down. Now we're going to go ahead and put the straps away on the shoulder rest. Add on a red spring to this. So here we're going to go into knee stretches. Hands are on the bar. Feet move to the shoulder rest if they are not there. And make sure your feet are flat to the shoulder rest. So this one we're going to keep a straight line through our spine. Don't go into a sway back. Don't think about tucking your tailbone under. It's just straight low back and sit halfway back to your heels and cover off those heels. Don't rest completely on them. So with hands on the bar, you're gonna push the carriage away with the legs and then bring it right back in. So we are trying to keep your shoulders stable and just move through hips and knees. Pull the belly in deeper, focus on those quads working hard, squeeze in the glutes. Now you can keep the knees down and just keep going. You can increase the speed if you want to work a little harder. You can increase the tension too to work a little harder, but I like to lift the knees up. So if you can, curl your toes under, lift the knees so they hover off the carriage, and do that same push away with the legs. Still keep your neck in neutral so you're not dropping into your chest and looking into your belly. Try and do 3 more. Squeeze the glutes. And your last one. Bring it in, you can rest back down. Now you're going to stand on the carriage for elephant. So when you stand, you have straight legs and flat feet. Keep the heels down on the carriage and push your hips back. Now you're going to push the carriage away and then pull it back in. So with this one, elephant, you're doing flat back elephant. Try to keep that long line from wrist to hips. As you push away, you want to feel a calf stretch. When you pull the carriage home, think about using your abs to bring the carriage home instead of letting the springs do all the work. So we're really trying to draw the navel in towards your spine as much as possible and force air out of the lungs. The next one, I want you to push it out there and hold it. So carriage goes out, hold out there, sink your ribs lower, just stretch and breathe, and then you can bring it all the way back in. So now we're going into arabesque. I'm changing my springs to a red and a quarter. Right now they're on a red and a blue, so there'll be a red 100 and a 50. So I'm taking off the 50, I'm putting on the quarter, and we're going back into that elephant position that we were just in, but we're going to change up the feet. So now the feet are going to be in high half toe position, kind of like you're wearing those high heel shoes. Keep the carriage in and hold it. You're going to push the carriage away and then pull it right back in. Pushing away and pulling in. So now we're going to transition from what looks like elephant to a plank. So as the carriage goes away, you shift forward a little bit so your shoulders come over the bar and it looks like you're in a plank. And then we're going to lift the hips and push the hips back over the heels. Carriage goes away, the hips fall, your shoulders come over the bar. You're still keeping the neck in neutral. So as that spine tips, so does your neck, and your eyes just go along, facing whatever direction your neck is in. You don't want to look into your belly as you go out and in, because then your neck is not changing with the rest of your spine. We're trying to keep that long line through our spine, and then lifting up. Now we're going to make it a little bit more challenging for up stretch. So now you're going to bring the carriage in, keep it in. We're in that elephant position with high heel shoes. Keep your hips back. Now we're going to push the carriage way out, the whole length of the reformer, really far away. You're going to lift your head, bring your carriage in where your shoulders are over the bar and hold. Now here's where you're going to bring chin to your chest, round your spine to the ceiling. As you're rounding your spine to the ceiling, you're bringing the carriage in and hold it in with your abs here, and then shift your hips back. So you come back to your start position. We'll go out again. Push all the way out the whole length of the reformer. Lift your head, bring shoulders over the bar, and then you're going to lift the hips up, bringing chin to your chest. You're rounding, and then push your hips back. Try to do 2 more if you can, pushing way out. Come into the shoulders over the bar. It looks like you're in a plank position. Then round your spine to the ceiling to bring the carriage home. The spring is closed when you bring it home. Keep the springs closed as you push your hips back to go to start. We have our last one. Push way out. Shoulders come over the bar. Lift the hips. Hold the carriage in as you shift your hips back to return to start. And now you can come on down to kneeling. So give your wrists a little break. The next one is arabesque. We're going to stay the same tension, but we're going to go back into that elephant position. One leg is going to be up. We do a couple on each side, and then you come right back down. So with this one, come back into that elephant position, high heel shoes, keeping your carriage home. Lift either leg to the ceiling behind you. Now with this one, you're trying to keep the pressure even on your wrist so that we're not shifting towards that lower leg side. Go ahead and push the carriage away, and then pull it back in using your abs. What you don't want to happen is that lifted leg falling every time you push the carriage away. So really focus on squeezing the glutes and getting that leg as high as you can. You have 2 more. Pull it in with your abs. And your last one, when you pull it all the way in, hold your springs closed, and then we'll switch. Same thing on the other side. Getting that leg up as high as you can. When you're ready, push away and pull back in. Try to keep the pressure even on your wrist. Both legs are long and straight. Lift that leg a little higher if you can to make those glutes work harder. You have 1 more. Pull that leg all the way home and hold it. Then you can rest on the foot. Come on down to kneeling. When you kneel on the carriage, we're going to stay kneeling. And now you can keep the tension like this if you like heavier tension for arm work, but 1 rep is average. So I'm going to go ahead and take off my quarter. I'm just left with 1 rep. If you want more, you could always add more. I'll also show you another way to work harder too when we're doing this, is holding higher up on the ropes. But grab onto your straps. If you have double loops, the little loops is always going to make this feel a little harder. You could walk your hand higher up on the rope too. That'll make the tension feel heavier. So another option to challenge your balance is leaving space between you and the shoulder rest. So if you want to make it easier, walk all the way forward to the shoulder rest. Hands are going to start next to your side. Roll the shoulders down and back, pull the belly in, and then press back. Arms go forward and back. Pull the shoulder blades together. Think about opening up across the front of the chest every time you press. And I'm going to keep doing this with my arms, but I'm going to add a thigh stretch. So that thigh stretch is where you hinge back from the knees and you hold that diagonal line through your body as you continue to move the arms. If you can, stop your hands next to your hips and then press back. Now press and hold it. Hold your arms behind you. Hold the thigh stretch if you can. You're going to bend at the elbows and then press right back to straighten arms. Bend on the inhale, exhale, press. Pull the shoulder blades together, engage those inner thighs, squeeze the glutes, still pulling up on the pelvic floor. You have 2 more. Bring your arms forward out in front of you, cross your ropes, and you're going to walk up higher on the rope. So it's going to be more force trying to pull you forward. So you got to stay strong, stand your ground. If you can, hinge back into that thigh stretch again, and then bend the elbows wide. Exhale every time the arms bend. Pulling the shoulder blades together. Still squeezing the glutes. Now bend and hold it. On this one, you're not going to want to look left and right. If you need to, you can look at the camera just to see what you're supposed to do, but you want to arch back into an extension and then return right back up to straight. So if you want, you're going to bend the elbows, keep them bent, and arch back into the extension, and then return right back up, lengthen the arms. So go ahead and uncross your ropes, put the straps away. So I'm going to keep the bar up at the highest position for our tendon stretch exercise. Keep the red on, but add a blue to it. Sometimes people like this with the blue, with the red and a quarter. So that's up to you if you want to do the red, the 100, and the 50. I'm keeping it at a red and 50. I know that all sounds so confusing, but I have a red and a blue on, basically. You're going to end up sitting on the bar with your feet on the carriage. We're going to come up to standing. I'll show you the full first, and then we can modify it. I'll show you some modifications for it. So all your fingers are wrapped around the front side of the bar. You're going to come up to standing on your toes. This is scary for a lot of people, but you just got to trust yourself to go away with the carriage. Your C-curve in your spine, your shoulders are slid down out of the ears, your legs and your arms are straight the whole time, and then you're going to lift your hips right back up to the ceiling. You have to keep arms and legs straight the whole time. If you bend the elbows, it makes those arms shorter, and then you might end up hitting your hips on the bar. Really keep the C-curve in your spine as well, and then come all the way back up. So modification, if that's just too hard to get, too scary to get, you could start out here, sitting on the bar, pushing away, lengthening those legs, and bend them back in. Already just doing this, the force of the springs makes you feel like you're gonna fly backwards off the bar. So here, you're working your core, your balance, and your strength in your quads. So if you can, push away, hold those legs straight and strong, and you're gonna push down onto the bar, look into your belly, and lift your hips. Now you could just stay here and hold this. You can rest your hips when you need to take breaks, but if you can, start to move a little through the shoulders, lifting those hips up and back. Keep the legs straight, keep the arms straight. Now when you're ready, when you have those hips over the bar, you can rest your hips, bend the knees, and bring it back in. So now we're gonna end up coming off to do our long box. So hopefully your reformer has a box. We're gonna be laying on our belly on the box. So grab your box, put it down the length of the reformer. You're also gonna lower your bar down. When you lower your bar down, it goes all the way to the bottom, and you're just gonna be on one red spring. You're gonna lay flat down onto your belly on the box with head to the ropes, and then grab onto your straps. So with this exercise, you can cross your ropes if you want. You could keep them uncrossed and just walk your hands higher up. Either one is fun. But the higher your hands are on the pulleys, up towards the pulleys, higher your hands are on the ropes, the harder the tension is gonna feel. So when you're laying on the box, you wanna make sure bust is off the box, but you still have those bottom ribs on the box. You're gonna lift the legs up, keep your neck in neutral so you're not lifting your chin up, keep your neck in line with the rest of your spine, and then straight arms pull all the way down through your hips. If that felt too heavy, you might want to check your springs. It should just be one red spring. Pull the belly in, exhale when you press. Arms down on the inhale, exhale, pressing back. So while you're laying on the box, make sure you're still keeping your abs tight and pulled in. You have one more and hold it. Hold your arms back, roll the shoulders down the back. Now bend at the elbows and press your arms back to straight. Bend on the inhale, exhale, press. You have one more and hold. Lift everything a little higher. Now your arms are going to go out to a T shape, out to the side, and then press. Arms out and press. Do 2 more side pulls here, called airplane to rocket. Your last one, hold it. Hold those hands next to your hips, lift everything a little higher, squeeze the heels together, and then you can go ahead and take a break. So go ahead and drop your straps. You could put them on the shoulder rest or wherever, but hands are on the rails and just stretch your arms way out there for a stretch. Now we're gonna come off the box and we're gonna get rid of the box. After you get rid of the box, we are gonna pull that bar back up to the highest spot, and you're gonna stay on the one red spring. So keeping it in the red spring, if we get started and the carriage feels a little loose, like it's gonna run away, you could always add on the quarter, and it's the yellow or the white. So hands on the bar, a modified plank on this one, shoulders right in line with your wrists, wrists in line with shoulders basically. You're gonna push the carriage away and then pull right back in. Now you could stay here on your knees, but if you wanna work a little harder, lift up to long stretch. You're gonna push away and then pull it back in. Pushing away and pull it in. You could just hold the plank too. You don't even have to push away. Do one more. Now I'm gonna give you an extra challenge. We're gonna go into a side plank called side support. So you're gonna center one hand in the middle of the bar and you're gonna turn in the opposite direction of that arm. So you're turning away from the arm that's on the bar. Your feet needed to turn too, so that they are still up against the shoulder rest, they just turn. And you could just stay here and hold, but if you can, push back and forth with that lower arm. Now when you bring the carriage back to where your shoulders are over the wrist, you're gonna turn back the face towards the bar. We're gonna turn and go all the way to the other side, so center the hand in the middle, and then turn, open up. If you can, push back and forth. Hopefully your feet turned as well, so the sides of your feet or on the carriage. We'll do one more. Now bring it back to face the bar, center your hands, and then you're going to go ahead and rest your knees back down. Now sit back into a little child's pose stretch, lengthen the arms. We're going to go into front splits next. So with that one foot touches the shoulder rest behind you, opposite foot goes forward. And then go ahead and push away like you're going into the splits. So if this bothers hips or knees at all, we could come down to the floor and do your lunge on the floor. That's just basically one foot on the floor, one knee on the carriage, or lift a knee off the carriage and you push away. So you still get a hamstring stretch on the back side of the forward leg and then the hip flexor stretch on the front side of the leg that's behind you. So you could deepen this stretch too by bringing the foot to the bar and then pushing away the stretch. We're going to do one more and then we're going to switch legs. You can start off low. I always start off low on the platform kind of as a little ease into it. Remember that you could just come off the side of the reformer too on this side if it bothers the knee. When you're ready, make your way up to the bar. You can really do as many of these as you want. I encourage people to do more on their tighter side. If you really like it, you can just get into it and hold it. This is going to be our last stretch, at least last stretch for me. And after that, you can bring the carriage back in. Just sit back, take a breather, shrug your shoulders up and down. I always finish with the shoulder shrugs. A couple deep breaths up high in the rib cage. Hopefully you're pulling the belly in and pulling up on the pelvic floor. Try to keep your shoulders down, your abs in, and pull up on your pelvic floor all day if you can think about it. But after that, you're all done. I hope you enjoyed the workout.